Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new episode of Through the Keyhole. Today, we're going to take a look at a few more camps sent in by you guys and have a look at some of the cool builds you guys have been working on. So, let's jump into this one, shall we? Okay then, so we've got 3 camps today coming in from members of the community, which I'm looking forward to diving into. So heads up as usual, of course, these are not my camps, these are ones that have been sent in by you guys. If you would like to send in camps to appear in a future episode, then do head on over to the channel's community page. We've got a post on there with all the information you need on how to send me your camp builds. And yeah, we have a little bit of time in between doing these, so do apologise for keeping everybody waiting on this one. It's been fighting tooth and nail to get this one done a little bit recently, but we are here at last. So, on that joyous note, let's jump into camp number 1. Okay, so camp number 1 comes from Fedora Master, who is on PC and wanted to make a realistic, cozy home near Graham's Grill. Fairly happy with the build, even though I started recently, don't have that much to build with. This was a little while ago, as I say, it's been taking a little while to get through these, but nonetheless, for a relatively early on in one's Fallout career, this looks pretty well done. There's some really nice decoration and stuff going on with this. It's really, really cool as well. So, as we can see, we've got a nice house here. Nice sort of bit of positioning working with the trees here. There's sort of 4 big trees around this place that wouldn't bulldoze, so camp fits kind of nicely in the gap between those, which is quite cool. You can see a little shelter tucked in the corner there, just by the Vault Boys standee at the front there. And plenty of decoration, plenty of cool bits and pieces going on here. We've got nice easy access to the vendors there in the windows at the front, and those are standing out quite nice and bright as well. Bit of a nighttime view, but it does look good. You get to see the lighting, which is always a plus. Yeah, nice little farm area on the left there. We can get a look at the crops out there. Look to be well set up towards making adhesive, which is always useful to have. A nice little spread out set of workbenches and nice crafting area there, so you've got nice easy access to that. You don't have to kind of run around in circles and kind of weave your way through all the furniture to get to your workbenches, which is, in sort of general playing terms, often a practical way to go. Of course, the power armor up top looks very cool as well. So we're going to flip this one around to have a look at the farm and the workbenches a little bit more closely here. There's some nice little bits of extra decoration around here with some of the plants and stash boxes and stuff. But a few cool bits and pieces that are kind of on a bit of an angle as well, which I like. Look on the left-hand side here, you see that Vault statue from outside Vault-Tec Uni, I think that one, is just sat on the Collectron station there, which is a bit of a doubling up there that looks quite cool, actually. That Red Rocket Collectron from the previous season last summer, I believe, actually has quite a lot of space on it. So on the downside to that is the space it takes up. The plus side is you can do things like this, which is always a win. And yeah, nice little set of workbenches there. We don't have a gate, so far as I can tell, to get into this farm area. Not that you really need one, but I can't see one, so in case of vaulting the fence, I suppose. Ba-bum-ching. But it does look good. It's neat, tidy. It's got loads of little bits of decoration as well, like in the plants and stuff down this front corner as well. It looks pretty cool. If we head on over this way a little bit, we can see the shopping area and the power armor on display looking pretty cool. Got a few different skins on there, a couple of different types of power armor looking pretty great up there. They dress up this sort of flat roof area quite nicely, which is cool. Really sort of a nice set piece on the front of the building, that. Along with the shopping area at the front there as well, the player vending, which also sets up quite a cool set piece as well. Nice use of contrast with the brick and the contemporary set there as well. Putting those two together makes things sort of, the contrast looks pretty good. It breaks up an otherwise plain-looking surface. If you go one or the other entirely, it's a little bit plain sometimes. So, like I say, breaking that up and having the flat roof, having the different textures looks cool. Nice bits of light and stuff as well to draw your eye to it. Got a couple of tubes down there with a Wendigo and a ghoul from the look of that on display. Convenient place to drop the symptomatic as well. Kind of got to have one of those if you got the option. Very, very handy camp edition there. Flip this one around a little bit and have a look at the market from a bit of a closer angle. Get a good look at the power armor there. Got the dolphin set there from one of the KD Inkwell seasons last year. That's pretty cool. Yeah, lots and little bits of splashes of decoration around here, which I really like. We've got a couple of weapons on stands there and stash boxes as well. A few signs out. A couple of weapons on the wall as well, just breaking up the otherwise plain surfaces, as well as the signs and the flags and stuff as well, which look really, really cool. I hadn't spotted this before, but that little bench in front of the window on the left-hand side there looks cool as well, with the plushie and the flowers and stuff on it. No, wait, that's not flowers, that's a nuclear winter statue. Also cool. That's a nice little touch. I like that one. So, heading on inside. We have our first little room, which is kind of a lounge area, but we've also got the ally station under the stairs here. This will be Sophia's little terminal there that we build her as part of her quest line. I do like the use of the cage lights. Definitely a big fan of those myself. I like the nice orange lights, nice and warming. It goes well with the oil lamps outside. It's a little bit more welcoming and a bit less over the top than some of the white lights are as well, which is always a good one. Nice couple of bits and pieces on the wall. Those antlers on the wall are a good bit of wall decoration there, as well as a few weapons as well. Looking cool. So we flip it around and have a look at this from the other side. You can see the kind of sitting area, sitting room, lounge space a little bit more clearly there. We've got a sofa in the corner. Got a few extra bits on the wall. I like the displays as well. The rug looks quite cool down there. Fits quite nicely in that gap, actually. That's just about a perfect fit, which is cool. Definitely liking this. Nice and homely as well. Bit of a pity about the wallpaper not stretching across the door there. My first thought was maybe that needs to be doubled up, but I'm thinking because of the type of stairs, the one with the frame there, it may not be possible to do that, which is always a bit frustrating at times. Good option if you can't do that would be to have, say, the wall next to it also be just the back surface, much the same surface as it is with the outside there. That way you've got a sort of an accent wall that looks a bit more deliberate. But this does look very cool nonetheless, liking it a lot. Heading through the door, we have the kitchen space. You sort of see that table peeking through from where we were just before. Got a few bits and pieces on the wall here. Going with the stone again, mixing up the particular choice, making it a little bit more light in here, which is nice. Got a few cooking stations and the brewing stations as well. If we flip it around a little bit, we get a look down the other end of this room. Again, continuing the same sort of lighting thing, which works well, keeps it kind of consistent throughout the camp. You see the cooking station at the end, that's from Meat Week, that one, the bicycle and shopping trolley. Quite a fun little cooking station, that one. We'll say little, it actually takes up quite a bit of room for what it is, but it is quite cool, as well as the brewing stations as well. Squeeze the bowl head stand in as well. And we've got some stuff on the wall as well here, a few weapons. I suppose if you need to chop up your dinner or tenderize your meat, then you've got your options right there. Looking good. So, heading upstairs, we have the space at the top of the landing, and this space can be always a little hard to decorate and kind of put a theme to, largely because what do you do with a landing? Generally, even in IRL houses, they're somewhat dead space. You put stuff in there generally, but they're kind of a space you move through rather than a space you spend time. But this is a nice job done here. We've got a few things on display, like in the Wendigo heads and magazines on there, looking neat and tidy as well. Little desk space with some cool little bits and pieces on the top there. Do like the Grafton Monster lamp as well. It's got a lot of character to it. And it's quite a good one, that one, because it's a clean white light, so it does contrast a bit with the rest of the lighting, but it's not so bright as it dominates the room, which is a good point as well. So it makes it something that kind of draws the eye rather than something that kind of washes everything else out, which is quite a good one. A couple of extra bits and pieces on the side here as well. Flip this around, we have a look back towards the stairs. We've got some extra decorations on the otherwise dead space next to the top of the stairs and the display cases there, which look pretty cool. We've got, very strangely, the punch card machine there for changing your loadout is poking out through the window. Not quite sure what's behind this choice. It's an interesting one. It's accessible, obviously. It doesn't matter that you're coming at it from behind. But if you were reaching through the window to access that, it would make sense. But this is upstairs, and the flat roof is on the other side of it. And it's a nice display spot, that flat roof, but I can't imagine you spend a lot of time up there, so it's a bit of an odd spot to put that, IMO. But why not? Put it where you like. It certainly works. So I do like the fact it stood on the little Vault-Tec Nuclear Winter stash box there as well. It just kind of boosts it up a little bit. So if you do want something like this in a window, in any situation, that's a useful trick to be aware of, which is definitely handy. Although I think it might have been just about high enough if it was lower down. Well, it might not look quite so centered on the window, so there is that to consider as well. Nice. And heading on to the final room, we have a bedroom, which is, as we can see, peeking out through the window there, just up above the kitchen, looking out to the patio as well. Got a nice little bed down there, tucked in just between a couple of bedside tables. Got the sleeping bag on the top there because it doesn't come with any covers. The Scorched Beast head over the top there, it looks quite cool. I quite like that particular Scorched Beast head over the Scorched Beast Queen, because the Scorched Beast Queen one is so huge it takes up a lot of space, but that kind of works. Although I would be a little concerned about sitting up in bed and maybe hitting my head on his teeth. But nightmares aside, that's quite a cool little setup there. If we flip it round, it's kind of cozy little space. You can see we have a piano there as well, a little bit of storage, and stash boxes actually those, but in terms of somewhere to stash your outfits and the like, that would make sense. A couple of extra bits and pieces on the wall, just dress it up too, looking great. Yeah, we have a really, really cool camp here with a nice little nighttime look around the place. The lighting really sets it off. Sometimes nighttime can be hard to see what people have been doing, but in this case, the lighting works quite well. We've got a nice lighting job here as well. Some very, very cool little bits of decoration. Nicely done. Interesting shape. Nice little home here. Really good work on this first one. So, camp number 2 comes from Space King Bobby, who is playing on PS4, which is very, very cool. So those of you who are on consoles wondering if you can send your camps in, you absolutely can do. If you have a look at that post, as I mentioned before, on the community page, it works for everybody, no matter what system they're on. So if you are interested in sending camps in, please do go ahead. So, Bobby has said, about this build, I recently had a very tough battle with my mental health, and I wanted to build a camp as a homage to the facility I spent some time in. Thus, I modelled it after that facility. Okay, so I'm going to go from the past tense here, and the fact that we've got a camp modelled on it. That visit to the facility must have been a positive one, or had a positive outcome, so I hope that's the case. Hope Bobby's doing much better now. I'm guessing there's definitely a positive look back on it if you've chosen to make a camp around it, so that's always a good sign, I think. Reading between the lines a little bit, but I certainly hope so anyway. So he says, I chose the name Firefly Asylum because I really like the sound of it. I figured the Appalachian Wasteland could use a functioning home for those needing help with their mental health. Yeah, I can imagine living in a post-apocalyptic wasteland would certainly be taxing on one's mental health, so it certainly makes sense to me. And yeah, we've got a nice little spot. And also Firefly is generally cool because great TV series that left far too soon, sadly. Yes, the Firefly Asylum. This place looks pretty darn cool. I really like the fact it's built out on the water. It's nice there's a little bit of mixed textures on here, some different angles and some interesting structures going on. And the layout is pretty cool as well. I like the use of the chain link on there and the little garden space by the water as well out front. And a little bit of a farm. It's quite cool. And the access via the little bridge here looks cool as well. I'm guessing we're somewhere in the forest here, but I couldn't exactly put my finger on where. There's a couple of places this might be. I've got a hunch, but I don't want to go and say it in case I'm wrong. But yeah, nonetheless, looking very, very cool. One thing I will point out before we move on to the next angle, which is even cooler, is the HUD on here. It's worth mentioning if you want to pull this off, that you can actually hide your UI. There's a little button down there that will let you do it. And if you're on console, one way of doing this is to, if you've got access to a PC or a laptop or something like that, just use a USB stick to transfer your pictures onto there, and then you can move it onto a computer from there. And that should, well, actually, you can cut them out and save them without having to take up your limited photograph space on your console as well then. So, good point to note. But, on to the next one. I really like this angle. This is a really cool shot of the camp. Then, really, really nice entranceway. Sort of framing there going on with the two trees there is a little bit spooky, but very, very cool. Definitely sort of encapsulates that entrance quite nicely and frames it quite well. Nice use of the encampment bridge leading onto the edge of the porches there. Don't see that used as a bridge that often, really, or see it used at all that often, really. Because it's a little bit restricted in some ways, that encampment bridge, but it's been nicely done here. It makes a nice little secondary entrance to the camp, which is cool. Heading on inside, we have a kind of foyer area, a little waiting space there. We've got the vendor on the table. Decoration's a little bit light touch here, but we're talking about a mental health facility, a kind of public facility sort of vibe. And even if it's being run as a business, which, let's not go down that road, would still end up with a kind of clean, light touch on the decoration medical vibe. So that kind of makes sense. Got the asylum lights at the top there, just sneaking in the top of the picture. Lots of clean, clear, clinical-looking colours here. Lots of whites and creams and that sort of thing, which looks cool. Got a nurse behind the desk there. Still don't have any terminals that we can put on desks in this game yet. Please, Bethesda, please. But improvising with the TV does work in the meantime, so it's looking cool. Coming around this side, we get a little look down the corridors, a sort of internal layout of the place. Got a central staircase there. Underneath that, we've got a little hangout space, TV space for the residents to spend a bit of communal time watching the TV. We can sort of see on the left there, we'll see a bit more in a moment, on both of these actually, the entrance to a little kitchen space as well. And we've got a little bathroom here, which unfortunately we couldn't see from around the other side, but looks pretty cool nonetheless. Fairly standard design at the moment. We don't have vast numbers of options for bathroom furniture, I suppose, really. And bathrooms, they tend towards a certain style, no matter how they're decorated, so it's kind of what you'd expect, but it does the job. I particularly like the porthole window at the top there, obviously two half walls used here, and then the top one converted for a window. Looking pretty good. It sort of lets a bit of natural light in, allows you to peek outside without sort of infringing on the privacy of anybody using the bathroom, which is always a win. Breaks up that wall a little bit as well, which is definitely a good thing as well. So heading back out to the kitchen that we mentioned just before. Little compact, just a little bit of space here. We've got a cooking station and some work surfaces and a fridge as well. Looks good. A couple of bits on the side to decorate it up. Could maybe have stood a couple of extras, maybe a little table or something like that beside the cooking station. Those things do occasionally look a little bit lonely on their own, so something I generally like to do. But it gives you nice clean access to it, which is always useful, so you don't want to block the animations. And it definitely looks quite nice tucked in there. Gone for the clean red one as opposed to the more beaten up version, which definitely suits the cleanly vibe of this particular camp build. Looking good. A nice little bit of a window up there as well, following that theme from earlier. And taking a reverse angle look at this little hangout space. It's simple, but we've got a TV, coffee table there, and a place to hang out and watch some TV for the residents, which, yeah, that I can see that being a thing. A sort of communal space would make a lot of sense to me. Definitely a sort of a group healing vibe going on there. Definitely sort of socialization is definitely a good thing there. So heading on through the door there at the back, we have Doc Solomon's surgery, I suppose. But he's tucked in the back corner there. His ally station is particularly cool. I do like that one. But a few extra bits and pieces don't go amiss dressing it up either, and that's been nicely done here. We've got the eye test sign on the wall there as well. Chemistry station certainly makes sense in here as well, along with the hospital bed. The windows up top to keep them out of the way, but let a little bit of natural light in as well, so it's a good combo. Again, relatively clean and simple, but that's what you'd expect in a medical type facility, so definitely works. And we've got a little glance through the door here, and I'm guessing that's because it's quite a small room, and getting the camera in there is a bit of a nightmare sometimes. So we can just get a little peek into a resident's room. So just a bed, a chest of drawers there, and a light. Fairly simple, but that's again about what you'd expect for temporary residents of the place. Does the job, a little bit of privacy, a little bit of space for the residents to have to do themselves. Very, very nice. And upstairs we have one more room to have a look at. Peeking through from the landing here, we've got the group therapy room. This is remarkably colourful, especially compared to the rest of the place. Got a kind of, not quite sure what the word I'm looking for here is, kids vibe for want of a better one. We've got the plushies and then we've got bright colours, and the stash box is a toy box as well. But definitely a safe feeling room, a soft sort of safe, comfortable room. A little space for everybody to have that group therapy session around the table there. And a couch for more one-on-one stuff. Still jealous of that Sportec grandfather clock that I've got to pick up eventually. One day I'll get round to it. But yeah, I do like the way the purple works with the floor as well. I wouldn't have thought to myself that that was going to be the best combination, but on seeing it, that definitely works. It looks nice. And we've got another nurse hanging out in here as well, which is definitely cool as well. So yeah, I really like this camp. I particularly like the entranceway. It looks very, very atmospheric and a little bit spooky haunted asylum, but definitely cool nonetheless. Very, very cool build. Very, very cool touches there and little bits of detail as well. Okay, camp number 3, our last one of the day, comes from Crinklefries, who is on Xbox. So we've got a nice mix today. One PlayStation, one Xbox, and one PC. That's always a win. We haven't got a whole lot of explanation about this one, but to be honest, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's a house. Definitely like this vibe. It's really nicely put together. A really cool camp. Got a good sunset vibe of it from here. There's a few things from this sort of wide-angle shot that I really, really like about this. Firstly, we've got a lot of different heights with the roof, and we've got an interesting angle as well. The center point of the roof is actually off-center, which looks quite cool. It changes up the shape a bit, makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. Obviously, there's a nice kind of flowing line down that left side, despite the fact that in the center there we've got 2 different height roofs. One over the garage there as it sort of doubles back against the rest of the roof. And then we've got the porch as well, which is a different height again. It keeps sort of different levels, it breaks up the shape. Really, really good example of how to make an interesting looking building, this one, that's actually quite simple. So you can see that roof is very, very simply done, and it absolutely works, makes a really, really nice looking house. And the integrated garage is always a practical solution for somewhere to put crafting benches as well. So we sort of peek down the left side of the building here. You can see we've got a stash box, the basketball hoop, and a couple of reverse junk fences up against the wall as well, breaking up what would otherwise be a plain flat surface and giving it that slightly repaired post-apocalypse kind of vibe, which always works. Really nice little close-up on the porch here. There's a couple of points I quite like as well. We've got a few bits and pieces around the edge that break up the flat surface, like the water collector there. Definitely good for that. Even if you don't need the dirty water collector, then it is good for placing things like that along flat surfaces just to kind of break them up, make it a bit more interesting to look at. I like the cage lights on the front as well. Definitely a big fan of those. They work really well with the haunted house set. They kind of fit in the gap quite nicely there if you just carefully maneuver them a little bit, and then they kind of really accent the porch pieces quite nicely, which is cool. And I've got a couple of other bits and pieces of decoration up there as well. The stash boxes and the barbecue as well. And as well, you can get a nice clean walk through to the front door as well, which is always good. So, scanning over to the garage a moment before we head inside, we're going to take a little look around. All of the workbenches you need, except one or two, but all the ones you would expect to see in the garage, I think. Definitely doing the job quite nicely. A couple of stash boxes, a few extra little bits and pieces of decoration around too. That's definitely going to sort of add a little bit of flavour and life to it. Again, I quite like the idea of pulling things out from the walls a little bit, but in this case, it makes it a lot easier to move around them, so I can kind of see why it's been done, and the place looks pretty darn complete that way. So, definitely cool there, definitely a good vibe. Looks like you could get your power armor in there quite comfortably. So heading inside, we've got a little living room lounge area, and maybe a little room for some extra surface decorations here. We've got a couple of touches here and there, but it is very, very clean, and I do like that. There's quite a clean vibe to the inside of this place for the most part, which is very, very nice as well. Got some plants in there, dressing that up a bit. Somewhat similar to a couple of builds I've done in the past this, so thoroughly approving of that. We've got a slightly empty-looking magazine rack in the corner there, so somebody falling into my trap of forgetting to put stuff in their displays, but easy done. I do like this space. The cage lights at the top there, giving it that nice warming light, and it's very, very clean and comfortable home vibe to it, which is always cool. Heading through behind the garage, we have our little kitchen here. Definitely compact and cozy, this spot. Actually, I've just spotted the shelter just outside the door there, which is peeking through the window. Kind of hard to spot, but there it is. Got a little bit of rug glitching going on there to get those chairs under the table, and that is an eternal problem, that one. It's very annoying that you can't get the chairs under there without a little bit of finagling. But nice job of it there. Definitely looks good. Really liking this sort of back wall here near the cooking station as well. We've got the table just tucked next to the cooking station there. Everything fits in that gap quite nicely. Plenty of bits and pieces going on there just to dress it up as well. The radio there, obviously, the chem cooler if you need to keep some things cool. A nice little sink in there as well. What's that word I'm looking for? Stein, that's it. The beer stein on the table as well. Which looks pretty cool. So yeah, compact little kitchen. I think we're looking at about 2 foundations here, but access to everything you need. Nice and clean, looks good. And the back door there if you want to run out to your shelter too. So flipping this one around, this is where the staircase is, just behind the living room next to the kitchen. We've got a desk tucked under the stairs there. As I said before, finding something to do with that understair space can be a bit awkward sometimes. It can be a little bit dead space. Up above it can be as well, but in this case I've got a nice little desk space under there. Definitely fits in well. A little bit of rug glitching going on to slide that one in, because the staircase can get a bit finicky if you get too close to it, so definitely a win there. And I'd imagine those 2 plushies on the top can kind of make it a bit more difficult to get close to it, so nicely done. A couple of bits in the corner as well, just otherwise fill out the rest of the space, which looks good. So heading upstairs, we have the first of the bedrooms. This, I'm guessing, is the Allies' bedroom. Got the Wanderer over there playing a guitar. Nice little bit of space to hang out. Got a TV, a couple of bits of decoration around, as well as the lamp on the table there. There's somewhere to, I don't know, write down musical notation perhaps. As well as a Vault-Tec bed with some actual bedding on it there, which is always nice. We definitely need some more beds with bedding. Other than just the Vault-Tec themed ones as well, which would be nice. Yeah, nice little cozy bedroom. Got the sloped roof coming down here. I'm guessing... not quite sure where this would be. Possibly just over the kitchen and the garage a little bit, maybe. Just to squeeze in the gap there. It would explain the angle of the roof there, but nice little, cozy space. Might have to mind your head a little bit, but certainly works as one of the smaller bedrooms. Like it a lot. Good bit of detail. Very, very cozy. So over to the master bedroom. Considerably more space here. We've got really nice little layout on this one. Bed's nice and central under the poster there. Poster might have seen better days. It's a weird mix of clean and not clean here, and as I said before, these comes from a little while ago, and we've got a few more options that are a bit clean now, so trying to mix up the types of furniture in here a little bit, I'm guessing, and that's where you start running into limitations in terms of cleaner builds. Nonetheless, everything fits together quite nicely. I do like the stuff that's stacked on the shelves there. I've recently, just this past weekend in fact, found out a really good way of doing that. A friend of mine told me about it, so hopefully I'm going to experiment with that a bit this week, and we'll hopefully bring you a tutorial on it and talk about it a bit if all goes well. Yeah, really nice job done on that. Definitely makes the shelves look nice and busy. Filing cabinets fitting quite nicely up against the desk there and being neat and tidy. We've got the one desktop terminal there that actually is, again, glitched in from the look of that, which certainly works, and it actually hides quite nicely there. Sometimes those can be a bit obvious because they're on a table underneath, but you can't see the table at all there, well, almost not at all. Though when you peer under the desk, your knees might be getting a bit uncomfortable. But that's a nicely done glitching job as well, and makes for a nice, clean and tidy bedroom, which is very, very cool. So we have a bathroom again, much like the last one we saw, basically because we have the same tools, and you know what bathrooms are like. Does the job, neat and tidy, got all of the necessary facilities, exactly what you'd want in a bathroom. And swinging back outside for the last one, a nice nighttime view. You can see the warming, welcoming glow of the lights just sort of peeking through the windows there to create a nice, welcoming camp. I'm guessing from the location here that this is just between Camden Park and the new Coca-Cola plant, somewhere I've built before. It's a good little spot, that, if I'm right in my guess. It looks like it probably is. I think that's the ash heap in the background. But this little curve of the road here makes for a good little spot for houses and roadside type camps, and this is definitely a wonderful job of that. So, there we go. 3 very, very cool camps from members of the community. Thank you very much to everybody who has sent those in. I've got a few more tucked away ready for another episode that will be coming up in a few weeks' time. I'm not going to promise exact dates or anything because, well, we all know by now I'm not going to hit them if I do. But definitely more to come. And as I say, if you guys want to send in your own camps, do check out the channel's community page. There is a post on there with all the information on how to do that. So, massive thank you to everyone who has done that. Massive thank you to you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Some very, very cool camps here with some interesting ideas that I liked a lot. So, awesome to see. If you did like the video, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I do appreciate it. Down below the video as well, you can find social media links, merch store, and channel memberships as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, I very much appreciate it. It really helps out. And if you get a chance, do join us for live streams as well. We are, of course, playing Fallout 76, having a good time with that at the minute. And, of course, we are just starting Doom Eternal as well. So I do hope you join us for that as well. It's going to be good fun. Frantic and rather crazy, I am sure. Looking forward to it. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.